how do you handle financial objections? So like if they say it's too much, it's too expensive, etc. So the very first thing you want to do is you want to see if it's a true financial objection, meaning like they really want to do it. There's just finances standing in the way logistically. Like they don't know how they can financially make this work. Or you need to see if it's a smokescreen for uncertainty, because the very first thing you need to do in objections is really get them tied down that this is the right thing, now is the right time, that they 100% believe that whatever you're selling is going to help them get to the outcome. So the way you elicit that is they say, you would be at the close, you drop the investment, and they say, oh, this sounds great, but I don't know how I can afford this, or this is a lot of money. And what you would say is, hey, no problem, we can talk about that. But what I want to know from you is like, do you actually want to do this? And do you believe that what we outlined, X, Y, and Z, is what you need to get to outcome, right? So that's the first tie down. So essentially the reason why that's so important is I use that language like 100%. Do you 100% believe that this is what you need? This is going to work for you, etc. And the reason that that language is so strong is I'm actually trying to get them to say no. I'm trying to suss out a specific concern in which I can address. Because if I do not do that, then if I go and handle the money objection at face value, I won't get the close because that's going to be under the surface. And then I'm going to basically dish out all my cards and try to give a payment plan or something and try to negotiate terms to make this work. And they're not going to close. So the first, I need to do that tie down. Now, that's not enough. You need to do a second tie down. So if they say, oh yeah, you're totally right, I really want to do it, it's just the money, then you just double tie down. You say, got it. So finances aside, you're 100% in. Okay. So again, what that does is the same thing. It's a very 100% in. It's a very strong tie down to really just get them to tell you if they have a real concern. Because a lot of people just don't want to either offend you, they want to get off the call, who knows what it is. But essentially, they're just not giving you the real concern. We want to get that so we can circle back and actually handle the objection. Again, we have to handle all uncertainty first, and only when they're 100% certain that this is the right thing they want to do. It's just a matter of making it work logistically, which is only two logistics. There's they got to talk to somebody else, or financially, I don't know how to make this work. We want to handle all the uncertainty, and then only when they're certain, we go on to one of those two. So in this case, let's say they're like, no, you're right, I'm 100% in. I literally just don't know how I can make this work financially. Then what I would do is what we can do is we can negotiate with terms. So essentially, I'll say, look, like no problem at all. Most of our clients do the investment up front, but for certain clients, depending on their financial situation, who really want to do it like you, but like don't know how to make it work, we can break it up. But all of that is all customized, and it really depends on what's best for the client. So are you open to having an honest conversation financially, getting everything on the table, so we can see if there's a way to make this work now, or at the very least, we can create a game plan for you to work towards in the future. So a couple things I said there. Obviously, I restated that they really want to do it. It's just money standing in the way. I'm like, we might be able to make it work, do a payment plan, or what have you, but it's all customized. So I need to get some information from you on where you stand financially in order for me to do that. And then I remove the risk at the end. So it's like, hey, at the very least, we can create a game plan in the future, even if we can't do this now. All of that language is very important.
Real quick, and then we'll get back to the video. If you need help with any of these three things, either installing a lead acquisition internally in your business, you need new sales reps, and you want sales reps recruited done for you, and also get the sales consulting and sales management help that comes with that. Or if you just want overall business strategies of how you can scale to 8 figures or beyond, go to the link in the description, click that link, check out the video, and then book a call with our team. We'd love to help you with any of those three things. Now back to the video.
So now if they say yes, which they're always going to say yes, the first question we want to ask just gets them to answer a question, okay? Which is, hey, so what's your net incoming cash flow in the next 30 days? So in the next 30 days, after you pay your bills, do this, do that, what is going to be essentially left over, all right? This does matter, but it doesn't matter that much, and it's very easy to answer. So they might be like, oh, I'm going to have $5,000 left over. Okay, great. And then this is the question you really need to ask is, and what's your cash on hand right now exactly? Okay? In other words, like, what's in your bank account? Now, many people will get like, oh, you're going to ask them how much is in their bank account. Remember, at this point in the call, especially if you're following the other sales processes I teach, they've probably told you 3 or 4 times that they 100% want to do it. It's just finances standing in the way. And you got permission to have this conversation. So at this stage, if you don't make it weird, like they really want to do it, they want your help, they'll just tell you, okay? Now, if you get a vague answer and they're like 1,000, okay? They probably don't have 1,000 in an account. They probably have much more than that. They're telling you what they can spend, not how much they actually have. So then you say, well, I'm not asking what you could spend. I'm asking what you actually have access to, so we can figure out if there's a pathway to do this now, or you know what? It's totally possible we can't, but I want to leave you with a game plan to work towards this in the future because you really want to do it, right? And they're like, right. Okay, done. So essentially, then you ask the cash on hand. So then you get cash on hand. You could even go as far as checking, savings, this, that, the other. And then you ask about credit. Now, what I do is I'm going to write down in my notes all of those numbers. All right. And I want to get the real numbers. Then once I do that, obviously I've asked a lot of these questions. So I want to just temp check real fast. And I'll say, and you really want to do this, right? And every single time they're going to say, yes, I really want to do it. And then I say, great. Because look, I don't think the best thing for you, if you're struggling financially, is just do the investment all the way up front and, put yourself in a bad position, even if this is the thing you really want to do. I also don't think the best thing, given what you told me on this call, is for you to do nothing. So what I'd be willing to do for you is break it into X, Y, and Z so that you can only come in for initial down payment. And that way you can get outcome 1, get outcome 2, get outcome 3. And then when that second payment comes around X days later, it's almost basically an afterthought. So if I was willing to do that for you, are you willing to move forward right now? So you could see the way I basically just gave them a payment plan, all right, was very finessed. I mean, number one, I'm making it seem like I'm, doing them a big favor, which you really are, because you're negotiating the terms down for whatever your thing is to get them in, right? To make it easier for them. The other thing is, instead of just being like, well, here's a 2-pay, here's the 3-pay, there's the future pacing language, like you can come in for this, then that way get outcome. That way when it comes around, it's just an afterthought. And then the final thing that is the most important is the final phrase, which is, if I'm going to give them something, I need something in return, right? So if I'm willing to do that for you, if I'm willing to do that for you, are you willing to move forward right now? Okay. So you're giving them better terms in exchange for a decision now. Okay. Now, what I do is generally you want to give the payment terms that probably will sting the most, and you're not sure if they can do or not. Let them decide, right? They're adults, they can decide. Now, if they're kind of like, no, whatever, you can kind of go back and forth for that a little bit. And after about 2 minutes of a back and forth, you can loop again and offer a better term and addition for a case study, right? So again, if you're going to give them even a better term, you got to ask for something again and then be like, so if I'm willing to do that for you, are you willing to move forward right now? And you reclose. So a lot of my sales I've made over my career, especially when I was a full-time sales rep, were with that close, especially if finances were something in the way. It was always with that close. So all of this and this training that I'm really giving right now, this is basically, if it's a true financial objection, which is why we did those tie downs in the beginning. It's not when it's a smokescreen. So if you're going through this and all of a sudden they won't tell you their cash on hand, or they're just not complying, or they just try to get off the phone, or they're like, can you send me something? That's all uncertainty, right? They're not sold. So this should actually be really easy to do if they're really sold and they really want to do it, which again, it goes back to your discovery, how well you presented your solution, and then those initial tie downs. So that's how you handle financial objections.